Greetings traders, this is Houston Trung from thetradingedge.org, and here is your market watch for April the 26th to the 30th, 2021. So this past trading week, you can pretty much characterize it by saying it was a back and forth week. For the most part, it was a slow drift higher, but at the end of the week, it was pretty rangy. So you can characterize that as basically being an inside week for a couple of the indices. But for the most part, we were just simply going forward and backfilling. And I think what we're doing here is we're getting ready for this coming trading week. This coming trading week should be an interesting one, both for equities and the cryptos markets. We'll get into the actual charts in a few moments here, but as a setup, we're entering into a pretty busy week, both in terms of earnings and the econ calendar. So there's a lot of companies reporting this week, the majority of the FANG names and things like Tesla reporting this coming week. So you definitely need to watch out what you're trading for, and that should certainly add to the volatility. Plus we got the FOMC announcement on Wednesday and the GDP number on Thursday, and everyone's watching the jobs claims number and the personal income number as well. So it should be a busy week, and I think that's why this past week, even though we had a sharp drop on Thursday because of the rumors out of the administration, the U.S. administration, that they were considering a capital gains hike, for the most part, markets still wrapped up near their highs or clearly in a range. So with that said, let's get into the charts now. Talk about the week that was and what to watch out for the coming trading week. We are entering into the final trading week of April, right? So could it be now that we are setting up for a potential sell in May and go away effect? Now, if you backtest that, there isn't anything too seasonally powerful about that age-old adage, but it's something to think about. All right, so let's get to the charts now, and let's see where we go from here. So, as we always do, let's begin with the VIX chart, the VXX. So the VXX finally did it. What did it do? They finally reverse split it, right? So as we've been calling out for a while now, that once this thing gets below 10, they're gonna have to reverse split it before it goes to 0. And did a 4-to-1 reverse split. I think it was on Friday. Yeah, they reverse split it. So we're trading around 9 or 10, high 9s, low 10s. They split it. Now it's back to the 40s, and the point is that it's still melting downwards. We have the Momo down sequence here happening on the monthly chart, and it continues to go that direction. So even though we have some midweek volatility, it's important to keep that long-term picture that it is basically trading to the downside in a protracted downtrend. We've had 3 consecutive Momo down months now, and we can expect this thing to continue to basically melt to the downside. As we know, you don't get a reversal on the higher time frame, and this time frame being the monthly chart, until you take out the last month's range. So that would be way up here at 67.84 now on the VIX. That's pretty far away. Even if this coming week, you have really bad news hit the tape and the VIX pops up, you may get, an outside month, you might get a month where it pops back up again, turns green. But again, in order to create a reversal on the monthly chart, you need to see this bar climb all the way back through the range and take out that prior bar's high. That's very unlikely unless something catastrophic happens. And as you saw on Friday, Thursday, even with that sharp reversal after the rumors of the capital gains tax came out, it wasn't enough, right, to even put a dent into this chart. So, trend-wise, we're still drifting lower. We can probably expect to see lower VIX prices for the next week or two. Now, when we get a new month, we'll talk about this more next week. When we get a new month, then it's this month's high that we have to watch out for a potential reversal on that monthly chart. For now, we did get a small reversal on the weekly chart. So this past week, we did break above last week's high. So we did basically extinguish this Bollinger Band walk that was happening to the downside. So that did get broken, but you can still see you're trading below the quarterly open, right? And it's still red on the month. So a lot of work has to happen still for the buyers of the VIX to really turn this thing around. At this point here, it would not be surprising to me to see this bar low get taken out. So we draw ranges here. It's very tight stuff. You can see how small these bars are. At some point, if we break back below that low again, we're going to go back on the lows. And this is not always great, right? So this is tricky stuff here because there isn't any stops to go after. You're going right into lows here now. And this means you need to see sellers continue to step up. Otherwise, you get these sharp rallies to the upside that can stop out anyone who's basically selling lows. So tricky stuff here to sell the VIX here. So at a certain point, this trade, the drift lower will end abruptly. I don't think it's going to happen yet though. So for now, the bias remains on the short side on the VIX. So here on Monday, we've got Tesla coming out with earnings, one of the bigger names to watch. Right now, we end the week with a 2-day inside bar. So which way does that inside bar break, to the upside or the downside? And it would not take much. If you take out, this bar's low, we immediately go back to all-time lows on the VXX. Okay. On the VIX, we got an interesting outside-inside setting up here now, and that's what I'm watching for to see how this one breaks. So on Monday, we'll have a very, very clear picture about which side of volatility it's going to break on, right? So on Friday, look at Friday, we had a pretty big volume day on Friday, even though it went nowhere. Inside bar, right? Does it break to the upside? Outside, inside of the upside, it can break back higher, and we get maybe again a continuation of that weekly move to the upside on the VIX, or we go outside, inside, and down, and you got to be biased to the short side again. Again, the tricky thing here is now is that you're going right in the lows, and there's no stops ticket out anymore, right? So it's really the impetus is on the sellers. Can you sell the VIX and buy up the SPY? So for now, though, we're just watching this pattern, right? For the short-term stuff, the short-term stuff is we're gonna base our bias on how this pattern plays out. But on the higher time frame, we know the monthly chart, what it looks like. We know eventually, you want to be a seller of that at least until the end of the month, and you're looking for extremes to sell the VIX and let it float back downwards again. So on the SPY, what do we see there? So on the SPY side now, let's go to the SPY. And the SPY, man, it's done, I think it's 6 consecutive months up in a row now. After this outside-inside pattern, one of our favorite ones, right? Outside-inside, up, 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 up. 6 consecutive higher months in a row. And once again, in order for bad news to really turn things around on this higher time frame chart, you got to take out March's low. That's pretty far off from here to there. Unlikely that's going to happen. Right now, they're holding the quarterly open green. That's that blue line, and that's been a pretty good level of support so far. They have not let it break below there. That's the monthly and quarterly open, by the way. So right now, SPY buyers in control. On the daily chart, here's what we saw that happened this past week, which was interesting. Actually, on the weekly chart here, we basically end a week with a, you can call that a momentum hammer, right? So pretty strong bar, even though it's basically inside the range. The fact is we closed at the upper end of that bar. So this is momentum because it's a hammer. And we had sellers who were unable to keep it below, the lower end of the range. And buyers closed it near the upper end of the range. So now, if you break above there, that's a continuation move. And we might get that continued momentum move, Bollinger Band move to the upside. Because it's still a valid Bollinger Band walk here happening on the SPY. So on the daily chart, here's some interesting price action that once you learn the price action, you can see this intraday and happening intra-week. Remember last week we had a Momo up sequence, so the question was, how far does this Momo up move take us? Well, it didn't go very far. In fact, as soon as we opened up on Monday, we had a small gap down, right? So it gapped down, and it immediately extinguished this Momo move upside. This is why we watch for that, because we know that anytime you're chasing Momo moves, if you break a Momo move, you're going to see folks get stopped out. Especially nowadays with the fact that we're going into highs, the volatility is low. Anyone is using leverage to try to get additional gains, because as the volatility tightens, we have less range, and for the same dollar moves or the same P&L moves, you actually have to use more leverage to try to get those, because the ranges are tightening. So any small move now causes a retracement, and you can pretty much once you understand outside bars, you can understand where the stops are at. So here, this Momo move, Momo up. So the Momo happens here, right? So it's an outside bar up. I call that Momo up, breaks below that low on Monday. And where's it going? Guess where? Yes, that low there. That's the beginning of the Momo move. Is that low here lower than that low? Yes, it is. This low here is 410.87, and the low here is 410.59, right? So they push it lower. They stop any of the folks who got long in here. And anyone got along up here, obviously, had poor trade location, and they quickly got stopped out there. And look what we did here. We basically backfill back and forth, and that purple line is the weekly open, and that held as resistance for most of the week until on Friday. We cracked above it near the end of the day, And even though we pulled back, we actually hit all-time highs on Friday. We broke above the prior Friday's high. It did pull back in, I think, the last hour of the trading day. But right now, we got a Momo move back in effect again on the SPY. Momo up. We're watching again. How far does the Momo take things? If we break back below there, that's a Momo up reversal. You can expect that low to get taken out. The question is, do the sellers step up again and break below that low? That turns the week, creates a weekly reversal. Even if that happens, right? So this is not an immediate home run trade, because we still have a green month and a green quarter, as we alluded to already. So it takes a lot to turn this month around. So you can expect that there's going to be dip buyers. Could it pull back into the here, the 20 period moving average? You certainly could. But look, down here is the 50 period. There's your quarterly open. There's your monthly open. So with only 1 week left, I think it's going to be really tough unless something really catastrophic happens. Take it all the way down to here. But if it does get down here, I expect some buyers to step up somewhere in this range, if they ever get down here again, to pick it up. For now, bias to the upside. That's the easier trade. You're trading with the trend. So long as it stays above the weekly open and you're above that monthly, quarterly open, bias has to be to the upside. So Momo up now. How far does it go? We're going to sit there and watch. So neat thing here, that weekly open was in play. It ended up as resistance. And for the most part, this news that came out on Thursday, when you had that capital gains tax rumor come out, we saw a pretty big red bar here on Thursday. And when I was watching it, it seemed like it was a pretty aggressive mood, but in context, right? If you take a step back, and this is what I always try to do with these videos, these weekend videos, is once the trading week is over, it's easier to see the bigger picture. During the trading week, during the trading day, it's sometimes hard to see this, as there's a lot of intrabar volatility. But when you can take a step back, and the more you learn about price action and these patterns, it's easier to see this and have this perspective even intraday, intra-week. So as I was watching this bar here, I was very aware and recognizing the fact that that weekly open was going to be tough to break above, right? So even if we, basically they sold it right there. That was just quite funny. Once it hit the weekly open, it was looking like a pretty strong day on Thursday, until it tagged that weekly open. And exactly when it tagged the weekly open, that's when the news came out. So it was very coincidental. Sometimes, you wonder, does price break first, or does the news break first? In this case here, I would actually say the price actually broke. We hit that resistance before the news came out. So I think people just use that as an excuse to sell, and the news basically compounded the event. So that came in, created the outside bar, but on Friday, they basically fixed it by going Momo up. Now intraday on Thursday, I was watching this. So on the 60-minute chart, you can certainly go down lower time frame to get more granularity. But I think it serves the purpose to show you what it looks like on a 60-minute chart. Here's your Thursday. Okay, so this is the Thursday. So basically, most of the day is actually was going up higher. We had a reversal here, came up, hit that weekly open right there. They try to push it a little bit higher. The news came in and wipes everyone out who had gotten long in this sequence. Now, can you see what happened here? That's Momo up. See, this is your Wednesday, right? So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Wednesday, we actually had a Momo up move that went pretty far, right? So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green bars in a row. That's Momo up, right? And here, once we have that flush, guess where they take it? Yes, the beginning of the Momo bar. See that bar right there? The low is 411.36. Where's it go here? 411.15, right? So just enough to take anyone out who got long in this sequence. They all got stopped out. They reset the board again, and look what happens here. Outside bar down. That's Momo down, and the seller just ran out of steam. Look right here. At the end of the day, people were panicking and maybe extolling the doom bear market. But the fact is, when you see this move and the steepness of it, and you see that low got taken out already, that could have been the magnitude of the move. That could have been the extent of the move. Once you get the inside bar, you're watching. If you get a Momo down reversal, what's going to happen? You're going to take out that pivot high. And that's what happened here. A gap up, and when who got short in this sequence, again, they're chased, they get stopped out, and where's it going to go? You're going to take out that high at the very least, because we know the stop's there, and when who got short this sequence on Thursday thinking they were smart, they got short here, they all get stopped out in this sequence, they get squeezed. Look, we have no lower lows until the final trading hour of the day. But that's only after they take out the prior all-time high. So even if you're really smart and you shorted this here, thinking you're going to go Momo up, you get short on Friday, make some money. Now they squeezed you all week, right? Especially at the end of the week here. Now, what do? Capitulate, right, on Friday as it squeezes you and it goes back to your cost again? Do you really want to take this over the weekend? Maybe not, right? And especially if you're using options and you don't want to deal with that time decay, then this squeeze you out of that position again. So did not make it easy for shorts. They did not make it easy for longs, but that's the way the markets work. In the end of the day, it's kind of a go nowhere week. It didn't really go that far. You're pretty much trading inside of the entire prior week's range, except for that final bump in the final 2 hours of the trading day. And on Friday, just to squeeze everyone who got short, who got long too early, they stopped out the late entry guys. So there's your SPY chart and the 60-minute chart. Again, this has also happened on the Qs. So on the Qs, what's neat is that it happened on all the indices. It looked exactly the same. So here, same exact sequence again on the Qs. Momo down, a double inside bar, and let's see that low there. I don't think they took out that low there. The low here is 333.98, 334.02. So yeah, 4 cents away. They could not take out those lows. It came close though, but they couldn't pull it off. So outside bar down, then the inside bar, and here it's the exact same squeeze. The charts are nearly identical, right? So that's when you're seeing that kind of confluence, that kind of type of correlation, then the markets are basically trading lockstep. The patterns are nearly identical. So on the Qs chart, we didn't quite hit those all-time highs, but certainly this past week anyways. But we did, as we talked about last week, we did get those all-time highs when it finished this pattern. It went up, down, and then up again, taking out that pivot high. Reversal took out the all-time highs, the prior all-time highs there. And on the Qs here, even though we broke below last week's low, right? So we did not get that Bollinger Band walk, which we were watching for. They still close it pretty strong, right? Near the upper end of this past week's range. And so I would say that's a Momo hammer, especially if you can break above this past week's high. We can certainly see higher prices here at this point. So I'm not rushing to short the Qs here either. And again, going into earnings season here, it's not the time to take these aggressive shorts because price can go either way here quite quickly depending on earnings. So there's a lot on the table here, lots open and in play. It's personally, it's one of those events now where you might want to take the foot off the gas pedal and see how these things begin to play themselves out. So on the quarterly chart, on the Qs chart, I'll be looking to see if this hammer here turns into a momentum hammer to the upside, or we get stuck in here, we break below this past week's low. Now, one thing I want to revisit here is to go back to that SPY chart. I've been watching, quite carefully, as you know, the number of S&P 100 stocks currently trading above their 50-day moving average. So, we hit all-time highs this week after a pullback. And if you go back to the S1FI, again, that tracks the number of S&P 100 stocks trading above their 50-day. We had a really, really high reading last week. So, I brought this to your attention here. It was trading above 93, I believe. Yeah, around the 93, 94 area, and that's very high. Right, so I wasn't saying it's time to get short, but it's certainly a time to be watchful, mindful, because when you're trading at those elevated levels, things have to basically go perfect, right? So otherwise you can get retracements in price. And the playbook is you don't short right away because price can always go a lot further than you can remain solvent. So you're gonna wait for the higher probability plays to wait and see for a pullback, and then for price to hit new all-time highs, to then see if you get the S1FI supporting that move. And right now, as you see it, look, the S1FI has not reached the same level of heights, right? So now we hit all-time highs on Friday, but the S1FI is trading down here at what's the level? What are we at here now? Around 83. So let me just close off there, make some space. We're trading around 83 now. Okay, so it's certainly not at the prior levels, so we're beginning to see a negative divergence appear between price and the underlying. And this is something now that we definitely need to be watchful for. And as I said already, it's not the time yet to implement shorts, especially because the monthly and the quarterly opens on the SPY are so far away. But this certainly sets up for a potentially interesting short into the new month. So when May rolls around, if we continue to see this negative divergence between price and the underlying, right, under some of those breadth stocks that comprise the S&P 100, that's when it gets very interesting for potential steeper pullback, maybe a 5 or even a 10% pullback like we've seen in the past. So here's a very obvious one, right? These are prior all-time highs. that's a higher high on price, but we have a lower high with that indicator, right? The number of S&P 100 stocks clearing above the 50-day. So that's a negative divergence, and then you get a pullback here to the tune of, I think this one here was how much? I think it was a 5, or I want to say 7% pullback. Yeah, 5.65% pullback. So that's certainly possible again as we get into the month of May here. If we continue to see higher highs on price and they really squeeze it higher, if we get that continued negative divergence, if we can break below April's lows, we can get again maybe another 5% pullback here, once again stopping out everyone who perhaps chases these all-time highs. Let's go on to the Dow now. So let's go back to our main price chart. We'll head over to the Dow, and the Dow hanging in there, doing not much, right? So it's one of those weeks there where it didn't do a lot. This is always the issue, right? Anytime on the daily chart, they all look the same. All the indices for the most part look the same. You open up higher and you lose the weekly open, right? So when I say lose, it means you immediately trade below it and you fall below it. That weekly open was going to naturally act as a line of resistance. As you can see here, for the rest of the week, this is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That weekly open, right, resistance, they could not crack above it. So the Dow, it's pretty much a do nothing week. It's an inside bar in the week. So once again, we redraw our ranges for that tight week, and now you want to see how does this coming week play out. Do we get an inside bar up, and that's momentum? That's going to cause folks to chase that, and it's going to be a rush to the upside, or maybe it's earnings, maybe it's the FOMC, it's the language of the Fed, whatever it is that causes a break to the downside. Get that inside bar break to the downside, we can head lower. Maybe not substantially lower because you still got that monthly, quarterly open right there, but we're watching that level because right now it's still doing a Bollinger Band walk to the upside. It hasn't extinguished it yet because it hasn't taken out a prior week's low. But if you do that, that will break that Bollinger Band walk. All right, so there's your Dow chart. Russell now. Russell, I've been waiting for this thing to maybe play catch up and play that catch up game and get those all time highs. But for now, Russell doing a whole lot of nothing inside month. Okay, so we're stuck inside of the month of March. Got 1 week left. Is there enough, fundamentals? Is there enough news flow or some sort of catalyst to cause this thing to go to all-time highs? Right now, it's not doing a lot. This past week, though, we did get that outside bar. Okay, so people did get short of the Russell, and they probably got stopped out for it. They went outside bar here to the downside, but by the end of the week, it closed near the upper end of that range. So look, that's a pretty bullish hammer on the Russell. And as we know, it's an outside bar. So if we go outside bar and up, that's Momo up. And I think right now that's probably what it looks like it's going to try to do is to do that Momo up on the Russell. So for now, let's look at the 2-week chart. I showed this to you a few weeks back. This pattern is slowly playing out. Okay, so we got the Momo down reversal playing out here on the Russell. So Momo down. Short sellers keep trying to short this thing, but it's not working out for them, right? They're holding this pattern, and if we break above this past week's high, it's going to fall like dominoes to the upside, right? It's going to break above here. It's going to tickle that pivot, then there, then all-time highs. That should happen in pretty short order, kind of like dominoes falling. Each one of these is going to trigger short stops, and they're going to have to cover and want to get back to those all-time highs. So that Russell looking like it's still setting up to get us to those all-time highs. And on the 2-day chart on the Russell here, something I want to pull up here now, we have a slow motion inside bar reversal playing itself out. Actually, it did finish it already. Look, that high there, going inside bar down, up, and now we're trying to take out that pivot there, and it did it on Thursday, Friday. All right, so take out those 2 pivot levels. Question now is, can you break above this past week's highs? And if so, we're gonna go after those all-time highs. So I'm still looking for all-time highs in the Russell. I don't think this bull rally is over by any stretch of the imagination, because even the emerging markets, which I've been watching for and looking for, I've been calling all-time highs on this one as well. But this one looks a lot like the Russell, right? So look at that. The mid-cap names are the small cap names and the emerging market names are pretty much in the same kind of holding formation. And who knows? Maybe it does require another trading week. We don't get those all-time highs until the month of May, because right now it's inside month for our emerging markets. Does it break out of this range? Right? Can it break above March's highs? Or we still get stuck here with with 1 trading week left as an inside month. This is the pattern that's playing out, and it's going slow motion. well, not the exact same pattern, but a similar scenario. We have the Momo down reversal happening, and it's starting already, right? So here, inside bar up, right? Momo down, stalemate with the inside bar, and then it broke above the prior 2-week high there, and it's gonna now slowly make its way up to the back to the upside. So that's what I'm looking for now. It's for that to play out. But again, it could take more than 1 week to play out. It may be a multi-week move for that to happen, because we are looking at the 2-week chart here. So it could take some time, unless some fantastic news comes out and it causes the buyers to really step up and rush into things. So I've been trying to get long on some specific names, some of these Chinese ADRs, specifically BABA. So I'm a long BABA right now to see if we can get those all-time highs, as the emerging markets seem to have shrugged off some of the negative or some of the headwinds that have been coming out of the east. So this is chop, right? So that's a lot of chop. You can get chopped up in here if you don't look at the higher time frames. Super smooth on the monthly chart, right? You know what's happening there. Why is it so choppy? Because it's an inside month, because you're inside of the prior month's range. And if you look at the weekly chart, even that's choppy, right? So it's this inside bar reversal. It's working to the upside. It's working right now, but it's going very, very slowly, and you can get chopped up in that noise if you don't see the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that outside bar and down, a Momo down reversal to the upside, going after that pivot high there. Bonds. So all eyes continue to be on bonds in a way, because as we know, the bonds market's trading in a very correlated fashion with the Qs and with gold. So the issue with the bond market and the gold market, for that matter, is that even though we're having nice green months, as I brought up, over the past few weeks, is that you're going to probably be stuck inside of Q1's range. Okay, so this is a huge range in Q1 that was put in here, right? And what's the chance, as I've been saying over and over again, is how does this not stay inside quarter? Right, so if you know inside bars, you know that potentially what can happen when you trade inside bars is that it gets very choppy, as you can quickly go back and forth. And right now, even though you're having an inside quarter, we're having a bit of directional move here on the bonds and on gold. We have an inside month right now, and it looks like we're going to take out March's high. This will cause more short covering. But even if it gets up to here, that'll still be it has to take out this here, the red line. It has to take out that before it even changes that inside quarter scenario. So what you're watching for is you're going to maintain the bias to the upside, because things are green, right? It's green quarter, green month. It's been green weeks. But you're watching here now, it's for price to potentially fall back into the range again. So you're following price. So this past week, has it been tight trading? Yes, look, inside week. All right, so very, very tight stuff. It's coiling now, basically getting ready for the earnings season and this coming econ calendar week. So now, if you break below this past week's low, it would not surprise me. If it somehow goes inside bar down, that would basically be a property of being inside month, inside quarter. It could go inside bar down, then come back up again, and down and back up again. So long as you stay inside of this range, see that red line there at the bottom end, and the red, that should be a red line. Where is it? On the upper end. I'm just going to redraw that. It's pretty far away, so maybe that's why it's not showing. Here we go. So long as you stay inside this here, the top end is the red line, the bottom end is the the top end is the red line for the inside, for the prior quarter's high. The bottom end here is the prior month's low, prior quarter's low. So long as you stay in here, that's all inside quarter stuff. So if you stay below that orange line, that's inside month stuff. And that's what could happen here. We could come close and try to take out the prior month's high, but if it fails and comes back through the range again, takes out that low, you're stuck inside month with 1 week left of trading. And that's what could happen here this coming week, is it comes up and maybe it takes out this low and you stay here to close out the month inside month for TLT. All right. So right for now, though, we do have a bit of momentum, but it would not take much to extinguish it. This is why I'm saying if you take out this past week's low, you're going to stay likely inside month here for the remaining week, because you got a Momo up move here now on TLT. On Friday, it basically was the weakest day of the week. It actually ended red, down 24 basis points. But if you break below Friday's low, you're going to fall back to the range again, and there's the Momo. Here's the bar. That's the outside bar that then triggers the Momo move. If it holds back through there, takes out that low, that'll be a Momo up reversal short right there. Take out Friday's low. You're going to take out that bar's low, and then you'll fall back on the range again, keeping it inside month. And that's what I'm thinking is going to be a very likely scenario if we break below Friday's low and we take out last week's low. So gold looking very similar, as I alluded to already. MGC. Here we go. The one big difference with the gold chart and the TLT chart is that we did break above March's high. So gold's had a stronger move than bonds, but you can see here we're still inside quarter. There's your upper end of that quarter, and here's your lower end. If you break below this past week's low, you're gonna fall back to the range again. It stays inside quarter, and you can get that chop. That could very well happen here. Although we still have that green month, right? So it's still gonna be a green month, but it would not take much to break below that low there, and then we do some chopping inside quarter. So we did get the inside bar down on Friday. If you break above there, that's going to cause a continued move to the upside. If you somehow take out that low, that falls us back into the range. So gold, the bias is still, like the weekly bias is still up because you haven't had a reversal yet, but you're watching for that reversal to not happen to signal whether or not, this inside quarter kicks in. Okay. So for now, right now, it's still moving directionally higher, but that's what I'm watching is the ranges of this coming week. MGC. Let's go on to cryptos now. So the cryptocurrencies market took a bit of a haircut this past week, and I think last week's video I said I was going to try that 4-hour trade on BTC. I did get stopped out on that. I'm happy to take that stop because I did not want to hold that trade after. I think BTC. I think it fell to the tune of, let's see, from the high to the lows here. I think it was a 20% move. Yeah, 26% correction here on BTC. But right now it's holding the 50,000 area. Buyers keep stepping up here now, and at this point here, I think it's actually, well, let's do this. First off, we've had a pretty good run here, right? We've had, I think it's 7 consecutive. Is it 7? Yeah, 7 consecutive higher highs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on monthly chart. In order to see a reversal on Bitcoin, this is what I posted on BitClout on, I think it was on Thursday. In order to see the reversal on Bitcoin, you need to see March's low get taken out. So there's 2 significant levels you need to watch out for if you're long Bitcoin. Is this that 45,100 level? You break below that, that's significant, okay? Because that will be a monthly reversal. Then, if you break below 28,540, that'd be very, very significant. And at that point there, you'd have a quarterly reversal. If that happens, that would be very, very significant. And at that point, I think the bull run is in jeopardy. So that's still pretty far away, right? You'd have to decline significantly, but that's the level that I'm watching for. Those two levels, the monthly low, the prior monthly low, and the prior quarterly low. So we do already have the up bar on the month, right? So it is red right now, but we did break to higher highs earlier in the month. So if it does come out and take out March's low, that's an outside bar. The question is, do you get an outside bar in May and April, and then what's the next bar in May? Okay, so that's my thought process right now, is you're watching those 2 levels very, very carefully. And for now, we do have a situation with Bitcoin and many cryptos where you do have full time frame alignment to the downside. That means you're trading with a red month, a red quarter, and this past week was a red week as well. So the easy trade this week was to be short, right? So if you're a trader and you want to be active, then the easy money was to be shorting any pops. Unfortunately for BTC and many crypto markets, it wasn't really popping up much. So the selling has been pretty aggressive because you haven't had any higher highs. So right now it's just basically one straight downward move, right? So ever since here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 bars now, we've had no higher highs, right? So it's just basically one clean move to the downside, and that's when it starts to get extended. When you can't get any higher highs, that means it's trading with with strong directionality. Ideally, I like to see some a pop up to stop out some of those shorts before getting short again, because that would be a small pullback. Right now, there's been no pullbacks, just some minor consolidation followed by more selling. So even though the money was to be made on the short side, it was not necessarily easy unless you want to chase a bit, right? It hasn't really moved that much, even though it's 20-something%. The relative size of the bars, meaning where you're going to put your stop, it hasn't moved that much, right? So that's the issue with the move of the BTC right now, is that even though they're shorting opportunities, you'd have to take them on a lower time frame to make them worth your while. So for now, that 50,000 area in there, so that's the prior week's low right there. 50,500. Look, they're tagging it and they're holding it. So they're on Wednesday. I think it came close to tagging it. Then on Thursday broke below it, and then they bought. Sorry, this is Friday. This is Thursday. This is Friday, and here's Saturday. Broke below again, held it, and still holding above that 50,500 area. So for now, we know it is a Momo down move on the weekly chart, right? So here, we're going to redraw our ranges, and once again, pretty big ranges. So what's going to happen here this coming week? How do you fix this chart? So this is, I see a lot of people posting on Twitter and BitClout and things like, buying the dips. I think people, they buy the dips, but they don't recognize the price action on what would actually be required to fix the chart. So sure, you can buy the dips, and if you're an investor, you can sort of dollar cost average into into your investment. But if you're a trader and you're trying to buy the dip, there are certain times you're buying the dip, right? The time you're buying the dip is when you think that the price is going to actually go higher after you buy it, correct? As a trader, you don't want to take a lot of heat. That's the difference between being an investor and a trader. Trading involves timing. Where investing, you're not necessarily trying to time the markets as much. So if you're a trader and you're looking to buy the dip, quote unquote, and you expect price and you want price to go up after you get into that position, then you want to time your entry. And the way you begin timing your entry is by thinking, what's it going to take for this chart to fix itself? When I say fix itself, I mean, what's it going to take for the price to go back higher, to go back up again? The way price goes back up again is by creating a reversal, right? So it has to take out this past week's high, that high there, 57.5. So if you're buying in here, right, what's going to have to happen for this to break above there? So that's what you want to be watching for. The issue here with this week is that you're still trading below the monthly and quarterly open. So you're still going to have natural sellers on those time frames looking to short Bitcoin. So this may not be, unless you're trying to bottom pick here, and those are not always high probability trades. If you're trying to buy it in down here, you're trying to bottom pick, right? And that's not necessarily, I'm not saying don't do it, don't try it, but you have to understand that that's a lower probability trade because price can certainly go lower, as you well know. So on the daily chart, now that we know our ranges here, right, you have to take out this level there before price creates a reversal on that weekly chart. We're way down here, so there's nothing significant enough down here. And you might get lucky, and if you buy down here, that might be the end, the low of the low of the move. But it could easily not be the case. And what are you buying here at this level that's significant enough to say that's the end of that downward move? Nothing. I prefer to have an entry closer in this range here that's going to allow me to perhaps take out the prior week's high. Very well could be that if you buy this, you could just stay inside of this range for the coming week. We got 1 week left for the trading for the trading month of April, right? So it's potentially that we just stay inside week, and then that sets up a really good buying opportunity going into May. Why is that? Because going into May, if price remains where it is, somewhere in here, the monthly open will flip. So on May, let's see, let me look at the trading calendar here. So on the 2nd of the month, well, that'll be the Sunday, April the 2nd, we'll have our new month, our new trading week. Let's say it opens up somewhere in here, right? So wherever it opens up here, you're going to have a new line here indicating the weekly open and the monthly open. If price goes above there, you're going to automatically get a green month, green week, and then you're going to have some tailwinds to that trade. But for now, you're buying against the higher time frame trend. And so that's something that's why I call it a lower probability trade. You're better off trying to sell, again, it depends how active you want to be trading, selling the pops and hoping, but waiting for those higher time frame traders to get back in again and to short again. So for now, even though we might see a relief rally because we are getting pretty stretched here because we hadn't had any pullbacks yet on this move to the downside, would not be surprised to have some sort of tricky consolidation pattern here to stop out anyone who tries to pick a bottom, or anyone who tries to short and they get stopped out as it pops back up again. So BTC is sort of in that kind of no man's land place right now, as the charts kind of have to fix themselves if you want to be bullish to the upside. At the same time, the shorting is not easy either because you've already had a significant move to the downside. So personally, for me, it's kind of a do nothing market for BTC anyways. Nothing too compelling to set up there. I want to wait for those time frames to realign themselves. ETH, interesting chart there, right? So Ethereum, we had that all-time high set in on, I think it was Thursday, right? So, well, Wednesday, and then Thursday came in with the capital gains tax. Ethereum's still looking pretty bullish. So look at this chart, inside month and up, right? So you got the month of April right here, 1 week left, as I've been repeating, and you still got a higher high. So going into May, maybe it gets interesting if you can break below April's lows, right, for short, because that would be very compelling to create the inside bar reversal with full time frame alignment. But if somehow, right now, look, here's the situation. We got a Momo up now. All right, so the shorts are not necessarily there yet until you can take out that low. This past week's low, we create that. That'll create the Momo up reversal short. That'll then take price back down to this level here and maybe cause price to break below the quarterly, monthly open. Then you get that red chart. But again, we're trading way up here, right? So we got 1 week left. That's a big range. Okay, that's a big size bar. If price just sits in here, that's a do nothing week. Again, one of those things where because you're so far from the top end and the low end of that range, you're kind of in no man's land, right? So a lot can happen in this sequence here that can cause it to go inside week. So this is inside week, could be inside week, and that would look like this on the daily chart. See how wide that range is? 2642, 2055 are the ranges. Yeah, if you sit in here, that's chop, and you begin to see that already. See the overlapping bars? Boom, boom, boom. That's turning into chop. It's not the nice directional push that we had, right, in this sequence here. Very nice and clean directional stuff, right? Directional move here, and now all of a sudden you fall back in the range and it's starting to do some chop. So the clean moves here are not there anymore. One of those situations there now where maybe it pays to be a little less active and you wait for price to settle and for those higher probability setups to set up with that full time frame alignment. But the difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin is that we still have full time frame alignment, right? So here's the quarterly open. There's your quarterly open, monthly open, green week as well, right? So you still got that those green those green colors acting as a tailwind here. But again, it could be one of those do nothing moments right now for Ethereum. One final chart before we wrap things up. Let's go look at the shit perp chart, easy for me to say. And this is one that I've been watching quite, as you know, I've been revisiting this one for a while now because I've been just remarking, man, what a Bollinger Band walk I had been doing. And I said, what's it going to take to break that Bollinger Band walk? Now, you know, this is why we watch it. We know this is the sequence here now. People are chasing, right? This was a bit of a scare, but they fixed it. And they went Momo up. And here, it looked like everything was good, right? Because at some point, it was actually a really big green week. But look what they did. They caused it to break back into the range. And guess what happened this week? Yes, we got the Momo up reversal short. You break below there, bye-bye. Take out that area. It comes all the way in again. Okay? So there's your week there. This is what it looks like on the 2-day chart. So this is what it looks like when momentum gets extinguished. This is poor market structure, price structure. People are chasing, especially here. Upper end that Bollinger Band, this move here, Momo down, and they all get stopped out. So see these outside bars, they take them all out. That low there, significantly lower than these lows. So this is what you're on the lookout for because these are what these tops look like. When you see this type of movement here, and you see that poor market structure, that poor price structure, you know that it does not take much for the price to come back down like an elevator, right? So as we know, price walks up on an escalator but falls back down, taking the elevator to the downside. And that's what we saw happen with these shit coins this past week. All right, so I hope that is educational. It's always fun to see these markets on the crypto side trade because they're so amplified because of the higher volatility, lower liquidity profile. And it just demonstrates these concepts in such a clean way because cryptos tend to trade with such clean technical moves. So hope that's illustrative for you. So one final thing to look on the shit perp chart here. Look at that. This is a Momo up move going into May. So we have 1 week left. If we break below that low in May, watch out. That's going to be Momo up reversal short on the monthly chart. And these shit coins can certainly fall back a lot lower. Watching for that once this month closes out. Okay. So Once again, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the videos. As always, if you have any questions, you can find me on the blog, tradingedge.org. You can hit me up through YouTube on the comment section, or find me on BitClout. You can find my profile on my blog site. If you have any questions, again, leave them there. Smash the like button if you enjoy the videos. Click subscribe if you want to have the videos delivered regularly to you through YouTube. And look forward to any feedback you might provide, or any way I can improve these videos. Have yourself a great trading week. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you again next week. All the best.